Nayman Ana Mum Nayman, Story of Kyrgyz. The steppe remembered everything, even if people forgot. The wind, the earth, and the sky had a memory. That day, war descended upon the steppe. Horses' hooves tore the ground apart. Arrows cut through the sky. The Nayman tribe was defeated. Those who survived were taken captive. Among them was a young man, Nayman Ana's only son. They did not kill him, because for some enemies, the way to keep a human alive is to sever him from himself. This is how mankirtization began. First, they shaved his head. Then they placed fresh camel hide over it. Still wet, they left him under the sun. As the sun rose, the hide dried. As it dried, it tightened. As it tightened, it crushed his skull. Pain came before thought. When a human cannot endure pain, memory dissolves. Names are erased. Faces disappear. The past retreats, unable to endure. Days passed. The screams ceased. But the silence was heavier. The young man no longer knew who he was. His mother, his name, his childhood. He had left them all behind. Only one thing remained: obedience. His masters gave him a bow and arrows. They gave him a duty: guard this place. Kill anyone who approaches. He was now a living gate. A guard with no past, who did not question the future. The Mankurt's owners were people who came from the edges of the steppe, belonging neither to the land nor lifting their heads toward the sky. To them, a human was not a life, but a tool. Prisoners taken in war were either killed, or set aside for something worse. Those turned into Mankurts lived this second fate, because their masters knew well: a person whose memory is taken needs no chains to be a slave. They did not give the Mankurt a name, because a name binds a person to the past. Instead, they gave him tasks. They taught him where to stand, when to look, when to kill. He was expected not to question, not to hesitate. For him there was no right or wrong, only command. To his owners, the Mankurt was a living weapon, a tireless guard. He did not sleep, did not complain, showed no conscience. His obedience was born out of pain. Life in the desert took shape accordingly. When the sun rose, he stood. Until it set, his eyes never left the horizon. The sands burned his feet, the wind cut his face. But none of this carried meaning for him, because the Mankurt could not distinguish pain. Pain was his natural state. When hunger came, he accepted what was given. When thirst pressed in, he waited. Waiting was the only time he knew. At night, the desert sky opened endlessly. Stars shone, the wind carried ancient stories. But the Mankurt did not hear these stories. He did not look at the stars and make wishes, because wishing belongs to those who have a past. For the Mankurt, night was no different from day. Time was merely the continuation of his watch. Sometimes a caravan passed in the distance. Human voices, children's laughter, the sound of animals' steps. The Mankurt heard them all. But the sounds had no meaning. There was only one meaning his masters had taught him: an approaching threat. If someone crossed the boundary, the spear would rise. Who they were or where they came from did not matter, because for the Mankurt, people were not faces, but movement. But there was a mother in the steppe, and mothers remember not with time, but with the heart. When Nayman Ana heard that her son was alive, she thought neither of fear, nor of death. She set out on the road. Her feet bled, but her heart did not stop. When she saw her son from afar, she recognized him, but the son did not recognize his mother. Nayman Ana approached. "I am your mother," she said. "You are from the Nayman tribe. You were afraid of horses as a child. You couldn't sleep at night. I used to sing you lullabies." The words struck the Mankurt's mind, and fell to the ground. Because a Mankurt hears, but cannot remember, the mother did not give up. She told the past piece by piece. She spoke his father's name. She spoke the day he was born. She wanted to stroke his hair. At that very moment, something stirred inside the Mankurt. Perhaps a shadow, perhaps the last trace not yet erased. But his master's voice was stronger than the mother's. Kill the one who approaches. And the arrow was released. Nayman Ana fell to the ground. The steppe fell silent. Blood flowed into the steppe. The earth recognized it, and quietly took it in. The mankurt paused for a moment, then turned away. For him, it was not a mother lying on the ground, but a completed task. Because when a human loses memory, he loses not only who he is, but also whom he must love. From that day on, the steppe began to blow more quietly. The wind still whispers. The greatest captivity of a human is not chains, but forgetting. And there are some stories, told in a single day, yet lasting an entire century. The sky darkened, the sun looked, a human being had fallen to the ground. But for him, this was only a duty. Because when a human loses memory, he loses not only who he is, but whom he should love. This is the true purpose of mankurtization, to sever a human from his past, and leave him with no identity, but obedience. The steppe still whispers. A human's greatest captivity is not chains, but forgetting. And there are some stories, told in one day, yet lasting a century. Nayman Ana's white headscarf rose with the wind. It ascended into the sky, gliding like a bird over the steppe. And from that day on, every wind that blows across the steppe whispers this question: do you remember who you are? Because if a human does not remember the day he killed his mother, then he himself no longer exists.